Thank you for joining me. Tonight, judicial tyranny has taken over the United States. I'm back again. I want to see if this is going to connect to Facebook or not. You know, we stream in, and we're supposed to be streaming into Facebook Live as well, and I'm waiting for the signal to see if it comes through or not. So give me 1 second. Okay, I see it coming through. Today, you saw a ruling by the Ninth Circuit come down that was shocking. Well, not shocking, because the Ninth Circuit is 60% of the time overruled out of all the circuit courts in the United States. What does that tell you about the court? And there's so much talk by experts on this and that. This entire matter, as I said in my earlier video, and I want to thank everybody for sharing that and liking it. It's sort of gone a little viral there, and I appreciate that, because common sense and the law in this matter, there's an easy solution for this for the president, but at the same time, you're seeing something for the first time in the United States take place, and it is judicial tyranny, meaning the left liberals are using left liberal courts, federal courts, and thus jurists, judges, to carry out their evil plan to destroy and stop Donald Trump. This is the real base of this ACLU filing, which is also backed by George Soros, and there's several other, as I described in my other videos, other legal organizations tied to this, also backed by George Soros. The point in this is now this court has set a precedent, okay, so to speak, that any order, any executive order by the president, you're going to find them challenged by the ACLU in court and by other liberal attorneys. This is a rabbit hole the United States should not be going down. It is very dangerous for our country. It is very dangerous to our due process and constitution, because let's get to the bottom of this. And you will find, when I explain what I think that Trump should do, like I said in my earlier video in the car, it's quite simple. But at the same time, the courts involved in this really had no original jurisdiction to handle this case, because what they did was claim that their citizens would be harmed by this order, calling it a Muslim ban, and using only Donald Trump's statements, Rudy Giuliani's statements, etc., to come up with this bullshit argument for a district judge to get involved and overrule the president. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of information that most people don't know. The Supreme Court usually defers to the president on immigration issues when it has any cases come up to it regarding the same. So if you look at U.S. Supreme Court precedent in the past, when anything has come up about immigration, the security of our country, etc., they defer it back and leave it in the hands of the president and the executive branch. In this case, and it hasn't made it to the Supreme Court, and I don't think it will, but I think there's a way around that Trump can immediately moot this entire argument from the ACLU and these other groups and shut them right down. Okay? I mean, shut them right down. All Trump has to do is rescind the current executive order, say, okay, I remove it, and issue a new one. And what I would do is break it up into multiple executive orders, okay, concerning the same issue, using the same power, concerning the same law that's in the four corners, that is just clearly described that the president has the authority to ban Visa card holders, green card holders, immigrants from other countries from entering the United States. Here, the court is trying on this, and this court has not decided anything on the merits of the case itself. This is only on the temporary TRO. So, Robart, who is clearly bought and paid for, and I'm going to get into the other half of my show is going to be about what David Brock has set into motion, and I had mentioned this about a month ago in the show, and what is coming to fruition now. Hillary Clinton today tweeted out a simple thing, 3-0, okay? They are all behind this. The Clintons, the Obamas, Soros. This is part of their major plan to disrupt the United States, as well as to destroy Donald Trump. And I'll get into that in the second half. But this court order from the Ninth Circuit says, basically smashes and says we have the right to check, and balance the president on an executive order. Yes and no. The president has broad powers when it comes to immigration and the security of the United States. As I said, the Supreme Court usually defers to the executive branch and the president when it comes to those decisions. Right now, we have 4 justices, and you could end up with a tie if this goes up to the Supreme Court. And the left is coming after Trump's appointment of Judge Gorsuch, excuse me. So this rabbit hole is really one that's never gone down, and they're trying to set precedents. And if you go to the ACLU's Twitter page, and I put a picture of it up here in live stream with a couple of articles talking about the Ninth Circuit decision from certain newspapers and online sites, you'll see the ACLU states in there that they're filing many, many more cases across the country to go after not just the immigration ban, but the wall as well. They're going after Trump's order for the border wall. And they're going to continue to file, and they're going to use this Ninth Circuit's decision to open the doorway for them. The ACLU is taking advantage of this. Its Twitter followers reached over 1 million just 24 hours ago. It's been taking in large sums of donations. And it is acting wantingly and willfully, not for these alleged people that it's trying to help, but that to destroy. Sort of appointed by Bush, but clearly isn't when you look at his history, even that to him helping refugees and being for refugees and all kinds of good stuff. Also in the Ninth Circuit, the worst overturn record of any circuit out of all the circuit courts in the United States, 60% overturn rate by the Supreme Court. What does that tell you about that liberal court? It's the worst. They do not follow the law in the Ninth Circuit. They do not follow the Constitution. Not when you're overturned 60% of the time by the U.S. Supreme Court, and that's the only court that can overturn a district court. In this case now, they have made it look like, and sort of making it like presiding that all of Donald Trump's executive orders can now be all challenged, and that's what people are going to do. They're going to try to tie up the president, and that's been the plan all along, to destroy him. That he cannot even use his own powers to protect our country, and that's what he was sworn to uphold to do, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. They are fighting, and I want to make this clear. Immigrants, whether they hold a green card or visa or not, actually, if they come from Somalia, Syria, any of these countries, they do not hold due process in their country like the United States. They're not entitled to due process in our country, thus overriding a presidential executive order. And the court seems to believe that these people are entitled on a visa to the same laws as us in the United States. That impartial is correct and partial is not. But the main point here is that Donald Trump, President Trump, believes, as I fully believe, and many who voted for him believe, that this country is in serious trouble when it comes to terrorism and the threat of ISIS and that of Islam. They are calling this a Muslim ban when in fact it is not. This has gone on and on and on now for how long? Discussing every day, protests, riots, filings in courts. This was all planned to stress out the Trump presidency, to also, make it look like shame on you. You can't do that. We're going to checks and balance you. Christ, there's even a Democratic senator in California wanting to call for a bill, put a bill in that Donald Trump should have a psychiatrist on call at all times in the White House to check his, competency. These people are out of their fucking minds. They want to have a psychiatrist in the White House now because this is their other avenue. They want to say that Donald Trump is not mentally fit to be president. This is going to be war every day until these liberals get smashed and shut down, because they have to be smashed and shut down. This is out of control. America, understand this. Now you're going to see, watch what I tell you, you're going to see, and as the ACLU tweeted on their site, go check it out, go to the ACLU on Twitter, they said we're filing hundreds of cases and suits against the President Trump. This is the new norm now, you see. This is why the country has gone down a very bad rabbit hole. One it may not come out of, because this is very serious. It's very serious when you cannot allow a president under the executive branch. Donald Trump could have information, along with our CIA, FBI, Department of Defense, about any, having to do with terrorism, has to do with possible attack from Iran, Syria. I'm just giving you this example. Anywhere. And if he would, in the middle of the night, say, okay, I have to swear this out, and swears an executive order and says, we have to stop them all from coming in. We'll just say it's from Iran. Like right now, we're in the middle of a heat of a thing with Iran. Say we want to stop. Just like happened in World War II. We wanted to stop all the Japanese, okay, after they bombed Pearl Harbor. This is why the executive branch has this power, and this is why the Supreme Court even usually always defers to the executive branch, to the president, when it comes to national security and immigration. The federal courts stay out of that. They stay out of it because it can affect and is affecting the security of our country. And if you don't think that now the terrorists know about this, they've been funneling in ever since the ban has been lifted because they know it may go back up. What better chance to let them back in? Do you know how many phony visa and green cards there are out there? They're easy to get. They're easy. Other countries, ISIS even has admitted them, and we've even found after raids visa making equipment, as well as fake visas and green cards in their possession, in ISIS's possession, in the countries in concern. This is a rabbit hole the Democrats and the liberals and with the globalists backing them are dragging us into, and it's a very dangerous hole. Maybe they should, open their doors and all their windows and, start taking in refugees in their house. Hillary Clinton, how about you start taking them in and putting them in your guest room, and not hand-picked ones? Okay, not like, children, like you and Bill seem to like. Why don't you start to take them, the kind ones that come over with no papers, you don't even know where they're from. What about the disease? And there's an idea here. There's several ways Donald Trump can do this. One, I would immediately rescind the order he has. That makes all this shit, just the Ninth Circuit's decision, Robart's decision, everybody's decision against him, District Court in New York, moot. In other words, done with. One sign of the pen, he just withdraws that executive order, says, boop, it makes them all moot. All moot, as they say in law, it's moot. In other words, bullshit. It's done. It's no standing whatsoever. So after they went through all this big win that they think that they have, it would shut them down immediately. Very simple. Donald, don't go and ask for the 11th panel and bank panel in the Ninth Circuit. Don't ask the Supreme Court to handle this, because the Supreme Court's basically Kennedy's going to say, listen, we refer to the White House on the executive branch, and or they'll let this thing stays in the Ninth Circuit down into Robart, and it's only a 120-day ban. No, withdraw this, and then get some top attorneys together, like they should be doing right now, and re-execute this executive order. And I would do it in several parts. I would do it in several executive orders to really get these people going. Okay. Just change some of the language, because the Ninth Circuit looked at this, having to do with visa and green card holders. Change some of the language And then do you know every case that they have out there pending now goes boop? There's no argument. There's no argument. And people go, well, they can come back. Well, guess what? There's nobody harmed by the new executive order because they haven't stopped anybody from coming in yet. So that makes everybody else's case moot. All this shit is for nothing and down. And that's the best way for the president to strike back right now and put them back in their box and show that he is in charge and show that he has some good lawyers behind him, because so far, okay, hopefully since now Sessions is in, since Sessions is in, you'll see some real action from the Department of Justice, because these guys are clowns. These guys are clowns. No disrespect if you heard the argument for the Ninth Circuit. These judges are asking, how many Muslims what acts of terror came from these countries and that. That's confidential information. Okay, they don't even have the right to ask these questions. It's an executive order having to do with that of national security. Thus why the Supreme Court, I'm going to keep repeating this, the Supreme Court in the past has always referred it back to executive branch having to do and not getting involved in immigration, basically really not getting involved in immigration or national security, because the president has information that the Supreme Court doesn't have privy attention to, or the Ninth Circuit, or the 10th Circuit, or any circuit, or a district judge. So to question the president on why he sees it fit to ban 7 countries that Obama already had on the list is just appalling. And it is to embarrass him, what they're doing here. It is also to kick them in the ass, as David Brock says, and I'm going to get into that. And there's a plan behind this, and they have been executing this plan, and they're not going to stop. And you have precedent now setting, and Trump needs to stop this now. He's got to stop it now and rescind the order, moot these people out, and reissue the order. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if he does it a different route, it's not going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to get stuck at the Supreme Court, or they're going to defer it back down. The TRO is going to run out in 120 days, while the ACLU just starts filing hundreds of claims against the Trump White House. And that's what's happening as we speak. If Trump rescinds that order, all these arguments on this particular executive order go bye-bye. They're moot. The court will say, this is moot. It's moot. It's done. It solves it. So I don't know who's advising him, but you better get some good advisors, because this is a very simple solution. Very simple solution. And it should be done immediately. I've even just heard, and I had already said this earlier in my, from my video in the car that you guys have been sharing a lot. Thank you. It just came on Hannity as I was sitting here, and one of their legal experts said the same thing, and he's awesome. He's from the ACLJ. And he said the same thing I said in the car before he even came on Hannity. Rescind the order, make everything moot, and move on and smash these people, and then reissue the executive order and put everything back in place, and do it in multiple. This is how you get them. Do it in multiple executive orders having to do with the same thing, and make it crystal clear in the executive orders. Crystal clear. And the law is really crystal clear, as he did in this one, and he cited it within the 4 corners. It's the same one Obama has used in the past, Clinton has used in the past, and Bush has used in the past. No federal courts really got involved then. As I told you, I think there's one 2001 case having to do with Bill Clinton and an executive order. Let me see what's going on here on Facebook. We got hit by a major blizzard up here in the Northeast, and I can tell you it's pretty cold here. There's everybody. And you also see a lot of Trump supporters saying that they're tired of all this shit. Well, get used to it, because until we all stand up, okay, and we have a big march planned for April 22nd, they have one for April 15th, and we need to start gathering and start contacting congressmen and senators like they do around the clock. This is going to continue in a very, very large fashion. Today, I believe it was in Arizona, an immigrant was arrested who should have been sent back, I believe, 2 years ago. Felonies on her record. She was not. and they went to round her up, and they started a protest right there. They started a protest right there to keep her in this country. What? So people, I guess, in this country are welcoming acute felons, immigrant felons, into this country with sanctuary cities. And just so you know, Trump's executive order having to do with sanctuary cities is going to be coming under attack as we speak as well, as unconstitutional. And this is the arguments that you're going to hear. Everything that Trump does that they don't like, which they'll pick something to fight, A good example was, when Gorsuch was picked, they already had a protest set up with a permit in front of the Supreme Court in Washington. No matter who he picked, they had a permit set up, and that's when Nancy Pelosi and Schumer had no microphone. There's Nancy. Let's all sing. Yeah, Nancy, pack your shit. For real? Pocahontas too. Yikes. Senator, you'll be quiet now. These people are off the left-wing chart, and they're only going to get worse. So what she do? She goes after she gets smashed on the Senate floor. She goes onto Facebook, reads the letter, shares millions of times, liked, gets more supporters from the left, makes her go. She's on every TV channel around the planet, and this is what I mean. Trump's got the media against him. This president has come under such this is history in the making, just like this president's election was. People overcame that with their voting, okay, and they're challenging that still. So get ready, that's still not over with. As I told you, you have the Senate Investigation Committee, and now they don't want Trump, and they're going to try to stop Trump and Pence from investigating the voter fraud. You're going to watch that, and they may try to shut that down. Well, actually, they're trying to shut that down as we speak. They're trying to interrupt any positive relations with Russia. They're trying to make it that if Donald Trump has to declare nuclear war, he has to go through. We have to get struck first. These people are out of their fucking minds. And America, this is down a rabbit hole that is bad. Civil war, I'm telling you, is coming upon us. We're already at civil war. We just don't have the weapons out right now. And that's what they want. While the globalists sit back, as Hillary Clinton sits back, Obama sits back on, while he's hanging out with Richard Branson and the rest, he's laughing. He's laughing. He is laughing. Donald, Mr. President, rescind this order and smash them. Simple. Every case that's pending that the ACLU has or any other legal organization becomes moot. It's the best win situation, and then reinstate the order in several different executive orders and make it crystal clear, and even help the Ninth Circuit with their bullshit. Say, hey, listen, okay, make it clear about green card holders and visa, and then just simply make their vetting when they get to come into customs, make it difficult and vet them. It's really simple. These left don't care about this country. They don't care about the security of this country. They don't care about protecting and harboring drug dealers, murderers, rapists, illegal immigrants, while the rest of us in this country earned our citizenship in this country, as did our, from our ancestors who came here, busted their ass, and became legal citizens. And this goes for all the good immigrants that come here and do follow the process, do it legally, and are vetted, and they're not. And it's only 7 countries we're talking about here. Okay? They make it seem like there's a huge Muslim ban on all Muslims. No, they spin this just like the Russians. The Russians did it. No, and the same thing. It's a Muslim ban. It's not a Muslim ban. Okay? But I will say this. Islam needs to be stopped, and radical jihad terrorists have to be stopped in this country. They're using globalists, and the left are using Islam to take control, not just of the United States, but many countries, as I've gone into. Look at Germany. Look at France. These countries are in deep shit. Deep shit. Christianity to them, to Obama, everything is smashed. Judaism, same thing. They don't care. And we're down a rabbit hole now that is bad. This is very bad. This will go down, I'm telling you, this is going to go down in American history as probably one of the worst days to come when a federal court enjoins a president from carrying out an executive order to help the security of the United States. And the court, it's not, just so you know, even though the federal court system has the right, the checks and balances from under civil and criminal acts to look at the the legality of an executive order. But it does not have the right to stop a president from protecting and keeping the United States secure. Nor is it entitled to the privy to the information and the confidentiality of that information based on his decision to do so. They based this bullshit on shit that was said in the news, that was said by Trump himself on Twitter, all this stuff. No one said this was a Muslim ban. They did. The left put that in everybody's fucking head. Just like the Russians did it. And Hillary Clinton right now is sitting back as she tweeted 3-0. In other words, fuck you, Donald. And that's another thing. Trump thinks Obama's his friend. Not. Hillary Clinton's not your friend. And you need to step up, Mr. President, and really see who's on your side and clean out the moles and the rats in the White House, because somebody's stabbing you in the back, and I believe it's multiple people. You're not in Kansas anymore, Donald. Everybody has a lot of respect for you, a lot of trust in you, and a lot of faith in you. But you also need to make these decisions and get the right people around you. Because this is not difficult. This should have been done already. Somebody should have advised him already to just wipe out this order, smash the Ninth Circuit back, and say, oh, sorry, I rescinded it. It's no longer here. Even Chuck Schumer told him to do it. Even Schumer, in a statement, Mr. Asshole himself, said, Trump should just rescind this order so we can get back to, the beginning and get this, going. That's what he said. He's quoted as saying it. Even Chuck Schumer told him to do it. Even Schumer told him to do it. It moots all this bullshit and just reissue it. Problem solved. No, Turkey is not an ISIS state. Turkey fights with ISIS. There is terrorism within. Just so you all know, Turkey rounded up close to 500 terrorist suspects and booted them out of their country just in the past 72 hours. You can check that out. Okay? Other countries are following suit with the United States, nor do they, just so you know, people coming from Syria or Iran, Iraq, they don't have due process in their country like we have here. They're not entitled to ours. Okay? If the president wants to stop them to come in until a vetting process, better for them to come in because they've been deemed that on the terror watch list, for whatever reasons our country has and information we have that's the court system is not need to be privy to, it's none of their fucking business. It's a matter of national security. Let's get to the bottom line. As I said, if you look at Supreme Court, past Supreme Court rulings and decisions when it comes down to immigration or national security, nope, they don't want to hear it. They leave it. They really leave it to the executive branch of meaning the president and the Congress, because they're privy to information that the Supreme Court does not have having to do with national security. So the next thing the left will want you to do is say, here, tell us what you know so we could tell the whole world. And that's what Obama used to do, is like tell everybody what the United States plans on doing, which you never should do. You never tell the enemy what you want to do. And this is my point. This is why the president has these powers. It's only for 4 months. People are not getting this. This order from the Ninth Circuit is detrimental to the safety and security of this country. And right now, hundreds and hundreds of cases are being filed by the ACLU and other legal groups against Trump's immigration order and others as well. This is opening the door gate. This is the floodgate to hell. This is a floodgate against our rights and the president's rights. That's what this is about. It's not only about 4 months. It's the principle here and the legalities of this so that the left can destroy America even further and take away more presidential powers, or try to take away presidential powers from Donald Trump so that everybody who voted for him doesn't re-vote for him. Remember, 2018 is another election coming up, and 2020. And their statements are coming out saying the same. They want to do this. They know they can't win it, but they want to continue to do this. And they're using left, I'll say, forget judicial tyranny. I'm telling you, radical judges. And that's why they picked the Ninth Circuit. So this isn't about 90 days. This isn't about any of the above. This is about taking away the powers of the President of the United States by a federal court, when in fact his order did not violate any constitutional or civil rights of anyone. People won't be saying this, when we have, God forbid, another 9/11 or something even smaller or something of the likes. They'll be going, oh my God, and yet the left still welcomes refugees in this country like it's no big deal. And I'm going to give the president another idea here. You know how we can also add to this? You could sign an executive order having to do with the health and safety of the United States, because these even immigrants, visa card holders, green card holders, immigrants applying, with visas, that have visas, everything, as a health problem because you don't know what disease they're carrying. And now there's been recent articles popped up. I brought this up 6 months ago. I said, you know what? All these refugees Obama's letting in, and the other ones with the open borders, you just let immigrants come flying across, they're carrying disease with them. Nobody checks them. They don't go through any medical checking process. The president, here's a loophole. He can use this as an opening, and it's not even a lie, it's the truth. He can use this as another way to stop them from coming in, and there's not a court in the world that can argue it, because who can argue the health and safety of other people in the United States to ensure that these people are not carrying major diseases and they must go through a health vetting process? And until that process is set up, they're not allowed in this country. Pay attention to that, because that's legal too. He can do it. And what's a court going to say? Oh, wait, how do we know that they're not? Do we have any cases of this? There are cases of it, and it's just starting to pop up in articles around all over. And I've said this months ago. I'm like, how do you allow these refugees in our country? Obama's letting them in, right? Nobody's checking their health. And they wonder where our disease comes from. I mean, lots of it. And there's disease, just so you know, rampant. Central American, South American diseases that are rampant in those parts of the world, now rampant in our country. And you know where it's coming from. It's coming from the Mexican border. And I'm not talking about Mexicans. It's coming from, not just Mexicans come across the Mexican border. Africans, Somalians come over from there. Everybody. Syrians come from over there. Guatemalans come from over there. Costa Ricans come from over there. Panamanian people. I mean, you name it, they come across that border. And Mexico's now welcoming them. This planet's gone like upside down. People got rocks in their head. And this is the globalist point. I shared a video today on our Facebook having to do with the Rothschild family taking over every banking cartel in the world. And there's only a few left that it doesn't control. Cuba, North Korea, and Iran. Okay? It controls Syria now, Greece, Iraq. The whole idea, watch the video. They use American puppet presidents to go in and create situations worldwide in these countries to come in and take them over, get in their banking system, get into everything that they have. The globalists are parasitical. They are destroying this planet. They're destroying the people on this planet, and they could care less, because their biggest thing is the population control, and they want the population deemed down, and they want to control it all. Fact. And you're dealing with puppet presidents like Obama, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, even George Bush. These are all puppets for the elite, Bilderberg, Rothschild, and that. People need to understand what's happening here. This isn't some small problem in the United States that's going to go away. This isn't some small problem that Donald Trump has that they're going to keep coming after him every day. It's not going to go away. And he needs to seriously stand up and fight this. I mean, hard, and do it, do it. Stay within the law and do it and carry out what he needs to. And rescind this order now, Mr. President. Rescind it. Make all these assholes moot. Don't waste the court's time. You're not going to get anywhere even with an in-bank panel. Meaning a complete court of 11 jurists. In the most liberal, most overturned court in the country, you're not going to get anywhere with Robart. He's bought and paid for. Complete asshole. Supreme Court, split. If not split, either way, they're going to say and defer it back down because they're going to say they leave these matters. The only thing the Supreme Court could possibly do with this is say, you know what, we defer to the president has the executive power to make this decision under the matter of law, but it could take them months for this to happen. So instead, play their game and be smarter. Rescind the order tonight. I'd hold a press conference right now. Get the order draft up, rescind it, and re-execute not one, but several orders having to do with the same thing so that they'll be challenging all over the place and make them crystal clear. What do I think about his tweet about it? I think he's looking at the court areas to challenge this, and it's the wrong decision. Even some of the best legal experts in this country, even judges, are coming out saying the same thing just tonight. And I said it earlier. I said it yesterday. They need to just rescind this order. Don't tie up the courts with this bullshit. Don't wait for the courts. You're the president of the United States. You have the power to do this. Rescind the order. Make all them in the ACLU eat their words because, listen what I'm telling you, every case that's pending right now having to do with that executive order will become moot. They all would have to be dismissed. There's not even an argument. They have to be dismissed because there's no order to challenge. It's that simple. And then you reinstate the executive order. Why play around with this? Why even bother with the courts? There's no reason. He has it in his power right now to fix this. Like this. Just like that. I'm telling you, he does. And send the left packing. Pack your shit. All of you that find the ACLU's out there bragging about the hundreds and hundreds of cases it's going to file. And it has filed already. And they're doing it. And every executive order, and this is the way for Trump to say to them, listen, you want to keep challenging me? Well, every time you keep challenging one of my executive orders, I'll just rescind it and issue a different one. Okay? That is within, you show me your count. They showed their cards in this one. So, rewrite it, crystal clear, so that there's no argument in it. Have a nice day. It's really that simple. The agenda here from the left is very clear. I'm going to get into that now. Okay? When Donald Trump got elected and the Democrats lost, George Soros went into what they call the Purple Revolution. Fact, they've destroyed other countries under colored revolutions, including our own CIA. Google colored revolutions CIA, and watch what you pop up. Google colored revolutions, George Soros, and watch what pops up. They have planned this since Trump got elected. And as I told everybody who became on the right side, very like, okay, we voted, it's all good. I don't need to worry. Trump will take care of it. Trump will take care of it. What, you see what they're doing to Trump? And they're going to do it every day for the rest of his presidency. And then they're also going to come very shortly and try to impeach him. They have him under Senate investigation for being possibly conspiring with the Russians. And watch, you're going to watch some strange evidence pop up there or testimony having to do with that. They're even going to be questioning Donald Trump's own people. You see his own people now turning on him. And they are. Okay? this is only going to get worse. And he must start getting some really good advice. Because going through the courts with this is the wrong advice. Just pull it right out of the court's hands. That's all he has to do is rescind the order. That's it. And the agenda is simple. Destroy Donald Trump. They have the Democrats, they know 2018 is around the corner. Okay? They're looking, we have an election then. And 2020. But before that, they want to do everything that they can to not just destroy America, but to destroy Trump. And when they destroy America, they're going to blame it on Trump. That's why I'm trying to tell you. They're calling it a Muslim ban when it's not. They're trying to, and they have been, they're rising up people. Sanctuary cities are popping up more now than we've ever had them before to challenge Donald Trump, who wants to just enact the federal law that's already in place. Do you see cities are popping up and colleges saying that they become sanctuary? California wants to become an entire sanctuary state. So now, executive order rescinding funding, federal funding. Now they'll take that to federal court and sue him on that. So anything he wants to do, they're going to sue him on. Meaning, challenge the order. Thus, to undermine his presidency. America better understand what's happening before its eyes. We're going down a rabbit hole that is massive and not good. And when you see the president's hands tied up like this, and this chaos going on, and they're coming at him in every direction, internationally and nationally at home. Karen, I'm listening to what you're saying. Direct Congress to prepare legislation to reinforce. The law is very clear. It couldn't be any clearer and when you interpret law, you look at the 4 points of it. In other words, what is right in the statute itself and what is in the law. Okay? And Section 1182 is very clear that Donald Trump has the power, the President of the United States, you couldn't make it any fucking more clearer, when he feels the security of this country is in jeopardy, okay, he has the right to stop visa holders and green card holders from coming into this country. Period. The law is clear. You just see here federal court, Democratic, liberal, Trump-hating judges, instead of doing their job, and the one who wrote this order, by the way, the decision that I posted up here on live stream, you can read the whole decision. It's the last post they put up here on live stream, and you can see it on here. The entire order was from a judge appointed by President Barack Obama. This is a conspiracy. This is a coup. This is trying to destroy Donald Trump. Renee, take a happy pill. No, I'm not taking a happy pill. You could be happy. I'm not happy. No American should be happy right now. Even Democrats. If you think that this is the right way for our country to go and allow illegal immigrants to have the same rights as you do and not allow the president to control who comes in and out of this country when there's security at risk, when the next big terrorist attack happens, you know what? You can only blame yourself. So if you think that's funny for innocent American lives to be put at stake and or be harmed or killed by radical Islamic terrorists, or when you see Islam take over the United States following Sharia law, just let me know when there's no more Christianity left, when there's no more, we don't even have in God we trust anymore basically anywhere in this country, except on our money, which is basically worthless. Good job. Good job. Maybe the people who don't believe how serious this is or want to go along with the Dems and the libs should go move over to like Syria, Iran, Iraq, other countries that don't enjoy the due process as we do. Our entire judicial system is going down the toilet. Our entire If you look at how the Senate has been acting and Congress has been acting on both sides, they don't care about this country. They only care about their power, their greed, and their own issues. Warren is the same way. No, there's nothing you can do against these judges. Okay? I'm telling you that right now. A federal judge is immune from suit for its decisions that it makes in a court, unless it's tied to something criminal, some criminal act. As I said in an example, in the state level, I brought up Kids for Cash in Pennsylvania, because I went up against one of those judges and I beat them in a case. And the judges, two judges from a small county in northeast Pennsylvania, were not allowing children to have attorneys, were putting them and finding them guilty and putting them into private juvenile facilities to get kickbacks of cash while they were on the bench. That's not just an abusive process, that's breaking the law, using their judicial powers to break the law. In that case, they were arrested and now they're both doing roughly 20 to 30 in federal prison. But they were also protected by their own brethren for a very long time, including the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which eventually had to overturn the largest cases. It's the largest in the history of the United States overturning of cases in the history of the U.S. 700 and some odd cases, juvenile cases, had to be overturned. I actually even helped one of the juveniles, under a writ of habeas corpus, get out of under that tyranny from that one of those particular judge. I even have copies of it. It's being in my book as part of evidence, copies of what I did for this young man to get him out of county jail. And it worked, and I won for him on a pro se basis. So in that case, these judges, though, are to write opinions the way they have, in the Ninth Circuit, these opinions that you see here, it's worthless. You can't do anything against them. You can't do anything to them, because they're entitled to their opinions and they're immune from suit. And just like you can't personally sue Donald Trump because he's the president of the United States, he's immune. You can't personally sue Trump for anything as acting as a president. Now, let's go into the overall plan of this and who's laughing about this right now. The Clinton enforcer, David Brock. I talked about this a little while ago, a few months ago, and what was going on back in January a little bit. And just recently, David Brock had a gathering in Florida with very serious high donors. Okay, David Brock is the Clintons' enforcer, what we call the bag man. He is the enforcer, the bag man. He's the one that commits these dark acts for the Clintons. And people go, David Brock's nothing. Wrong, think again. So David Brock holds this private meeting down in Florida, gathering very rich donors. And the idea of the whole thing was to launch, and has been to launch, and what you're seeing now is a result thereof, and I'm going to get into that. He's launching like his own Koch brothers donor network to finance attacks on President-elect Donald Trump. And this is fact, okay? And to rebuild the political left after Trump's stunning victory over, Clinton. Back in January to November, he emailed more than roughly 200 of the biggest donors on the left, including that of titans of George Soros, Tom Steyer, Donald Sussman, all these big players, inviting them to a retreat in Palm Beach no less, by Trump, over inauguration weekend to assess what Democrats did wrong in 2016 and figure out how to correct it and raise cash for those initiatives. See, everything starts with money, everybody. Okay? Everything starts with money. You want to hit these people, we want to have marches, we want to go after these people, you want to put commercials out against these people. Educating people and putting this stuff out costs money. Okay? So for the first thing that they do is raise money. And sure enough, they hit Soros up, and as I said, Steyer, he's a big guy, and Donald Sussman. If I got into each one of them, we already know Soros. If I get into the other two, they're just as bad as Soros. Not as bad, but just as bad. It was the gathering of the largest Democratic donors from across the country, and a device group of leaders about the next steps of progressives under a Trump administration. Brock wrote this to the donors in an email obtained by Politico. Okay? Politico is the one that broke this. The retreat planned as the first in a series of there were regular gatherings, will feature appearances by an array of Democratic elected officials, operatives and liberal thinkers and group officials, Brock explained in the interview. Though he said he had yet to extend invitations beyond those sent to donors, he predicted there would be significant interest, noting that the keynote address at his last major donor conference back in 2013 was delivered by former President Clinton. What better way to spend inauguration weekend than talking about how to kick Donald Trump's ass, Brock said. Well, Brock is kicking, and the Clintons are kicking, and Obama is kicking Trump's ass. Don't kid yourself. When you start to see federal courts overrule executive orders by the president, you better start paying attention, because this rabbit hole's bad, and it's deep, and it's not good. And it's dirty. And when you get federal judges involved who are sworn to uphold the Constitution, and they don't, and the corruption is that high, and I know it is, I've seen it myself firsthand with federal judges. I had one excused from one case and put it on this case I had and put on the other because I proved he was tied to the plaintiff that I was suing in a newspaper case, okay, part of it, Section 1983, in a newspaper case against corrupt, defamation and slander and outright false news. And I proved, the judge kept stalling the case till I proved and showed him on the cover of the newspaper with the plaintiff, arm in arm in a special Irish group that they belong to in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Not. Sent that back up to the Court of Appeals in the Third Circuit. Boom. Time came back, judge was gone. Pow. Next, had a good judge. This is what you have to do, and these people don't budge. Brock is a self-described right-wing, basically hitman for the Clinton enforcer. I've said this for over a year now. He used his relationships with some of the left's deepest pockets to build an armada of aggressive political outfits that have become pillars of the institutional left and that raised a combined $65 million during the 2016 cycle. Guess what? Brock's group include, you ready? Brock's groups include the conservative media monitoring non-for-profit Media Matters, the opposition research super PAC American Bridge, and the legal watchdog Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. These are all funded and backed by Soros as well. Other groups in this network include the liberal media funding vehicle America Independent Institution, the media training nonprofit Franklin Forum, and the for-profit social media operation Share Blue, which the New York Times described as Hillary Clinton's outrage machine. A seventh group, a super PAC called Correct the Record, that was created to coordinate directly with Clinton's campaign, is winding down, though Brock said that a number of its functions and personnel likely will be absorbed by his other groups. While the entire political left is grappling on how to move on after Clinton's devastating loss, it could be a particular challenge for Brock and his group since he was closely associated with Clinton. Brock acknowledged in the interview, there is no question that we poured our heart and soul into this election for Hillary. Yeah. You lied, you cheated, you stealed, you bought, you paid, you fucking rigged, and it got you nowhere. And then you even had, tree hugger Jill Stein try to come to use as your front person for Hillary to try to come and challenge the election and the voting process. Not another failure, but tied up the entire system and the media and made up more fake shit. But now when the president wants to do his own investigation and bring in a special committee to investigate real voter fraud in the country, you want to shut him down. Why is that? And even Republicans are backing down the shutting, just so you all know, Republicans are shutting down Donald Trump's investigation into voter fraud in the United States. Both sides, dirty here. In his email, to donors, he pointed out that he created Media Matters more than a decade ago to help the left push back during George W. Bush's presidency. In 2005, we were part of a successful progressive effort to regroup, retool, and recover, he wrote. While today's situation is more dire, meaning Donald Trump's, Media Matters more than ever. One of the areas where the left has been at a disadvantage is using the legal and regulatory system to call out Republican politicians and groups. Did you hear what I said? Legal and regulatory system. Now this article is from, and other information I have investigated, is from Inauguration Weekend. Brock said he cited the success of conservative group Judicial Watch in using the Freedom of Information Act and the legal system, i.e. the federal courts, to pry free emails from Clinton's State Department and other issues. Judicial Watch has a $30 million budget, and they had a significant impact on the election, he said, comparing its crew to Crew's, CREW's, $2 million budget. And if we're heading into an administration that looks like it could be well as corrupt as the Gilded Age, he's trying to say Donald Trump is corrupt, we need to significantly reinforce the capacities for the aggressive ethics watchdog. David Brock, you're full of shit. David Brock is so dirty and even has blood on his hands, and he's tied to even serious with Podesta and that of murders with the Clintons. David Brock is like, I'm telling you, like in the mafia, we say, I mean, he's like, you know, the point man. Corrupt? Corrupt. Why don't you look, David Brock, at your, you know, great Hillary Clinton? No, of course, because you're just as corrupt, and you bury, and I know for a fact, investigating the Clinton Foundation and all their offshore corporations, that you were the one that moves around through several of these organizations, and Clinton's offshore corporations, there's thousands of them, they open them, they close them, they open and close them, they move their money around, and it's never found. It's washed. Now, Brock said he's inviting the president of the DA, as the club is known, to his Palm Beach retreat, along with, as I said, the other major hitters. But while the Democracy Alliance at its winter meeting discussed ways to push back on the Trump administration, many of the group members have tried to train its focus on pressuring Democrats from the left on issues like fighting climate change, money in politics, and drugs laws. Brock's network, on the other hand, is more overtly and aggressively political and has been largely agnostic on the philosophical divisions which the Democrats are grappling. We don't think of it as a representation of faction of the Democratic Party, but a cross-section of it. So we're going to we don't think of this as representing a faction of the Democratic Party, but a cross-section of it, so we're not going to pre-cook things ideologically. He said it is very political-minded, and there is an urgency to it to destroy Donald Trump. Okay? American Bridge right now, along with Media Matters, are all behind, a lot of these are behind the marches, along with Soros. This is where this is all coming from. Soros, Clintons, through Brock and others, and major super PACs being funded to destroy Trump, and they're using the legal system. They're using the legal system to their advantage through that of liberal judges, federal judges. So you want to call them corrupt, liberal, they're all the same to me. If a judge does not uphold the law and is non-biased, they're corrupt. And they planned on doing this, and they executed it, and that's why you find this in Washington State. The Attorney General for Washington State, our people are going to be harmed by this order. The Muslims in our country, in our state, they had nothing to do with it. There was no one shown to be harmed by Donald Trump's immigration ban in Washington State. Hence, no jurisdiction for the blowjob judge, excuse me, ladies, for this judge, okay, to enter this order, and across the board banning temporary staying Donald Trump's order. It was a complete setup, a complete fraud, and the Ninth Circuit played along with it, and that's why they filed it in Washington State, because they know the Ninth Circuit is the most overturned and the most liberal court in the United States. So when people say, should California, Cal exit, Ninth Circuit oversees California. It's out of San Francisco. Listen, pack your shit. America should let California go. Because you know what? It's doing nothing but holding it back. And that's a fact. It's doing nothing but holding back the United States and making this country great again. They don't want to be part of this country? Then let them go. I wouldn't even fight them. Pack your shit, go. Have a nice day. See if you can make it on your own. Secede and leave it to the rest of the states to do this. But the problem is, you see California's thinking and the left's thinking is going viral. Viral. And now you see even a lot of Trump supporters getting fed up with what the left is doing. And that's the whole idea. They want to tire you out. They want to stress you out. They want to stress us out. They want to make it that, we do nothing and just give in and cave. Well, not in my case. I'm not caving. Trump's not going to cave either, but he needs to get some right people around him and some fucking good advice. No, you cannot impeach these judges. As I said, there's nothing anybody can do to these judges. Nothing. The only thing you can do to these judges is blow up their emails with your, discernment and say, hey, listen, you're out of your mind. You're not following the law, blah, blah, blah. You want to do that? You can blow up their emails. You can blow up their phones. You can blow up, anything about them and write your, honest opinion to them and let them know how you feel. But I'm going to tell you what, it's going to fall on deaf ears. One thing I know about presidential appointed federal judges, the good ones are great, but the bad ones are horrible. They stick together, they're brethren, they're flock. And just like you saw Gorsuch, and now people are saying that Gorsuch didn't say this statement, there's a lot of people that said he said the statement about Donald Trump. He should have stated, you know what, the president's order is legal and correct. He certainly should have said that, just like the Massachusetts judge did. And here's the bad part in all this. You had a judge in Massachusetts, district judge, who issued an order upholding Donald Trump's immigration law, which the man got. That whole order basically has gone thrown to the side. It's been thrown to the side, and the other order up in Washington State took precedent over his. This is really a very bad situation because that judge has the same jurisdiction and the rights as that of Washington State District Judge. But you have two different circuits, two different rulings, one for the president, one against the president, and the difference is that the Massachusetts judge did not make his order across the board, which he should have. And it wasn't an intentional on him, he just didn't do it. Probably wasn't even asked to do it. Whereas the ACLU asked in Washington State, i.e. the Attorney General did actually in Washington State, said to make this, a TRO for the entire order from Trump. Well, America, welcome to hell. Welcome to war. Welcome to, the next 4 years. Because this is what it's going to be like, and it's going to get worse until even the president turns around and starts smashing these people legally. Until the American people stand up that voted for Trump, and also who are tired of this, and watch our Constitution get ripped apart. Every executive order, everything that Trump does is going to be brought to court. I'm telling you, you're going to see riots over it. You're going to see protesting over it, and that's what they're going to keep doing. And that's what David Brock is about. That's what George Soros is about. That's what Hillary Clinton and Obama are about behind this. And Obama's still running this government. Don't kid yourself. And that's part of the problem. There's moles. There's holdouts. Department of Justice, FBI, NSA, the White House itself, Department of the Department of Defense, everywhere. This is serious shit, America. This isn't some fear-mongering stuff. You're watching it happen before your eyes. I know a lot of people say these people are a joke, but you know what? They're winning right now. And they're using that of corrupt liberal federal judges to do it. And that's scary. That's scary when you can take, and I'm telling you, what happens when the president has to, God forbid, we were attacked right now. God forbid, they're funneling, just so you know, immigrants are funneling in right now. No, really, they're being vetted somewhat, but nothing. Trump's ordered Homeland Security to do a little stronger vetting. But, okay, and now they're rounding up, now they're going around and starting to round up illegal immigrants and illegal, even the criminal ones. And they're getting protest people strapping themselves or holding car wheels and standing in front of this shit for criminals. For criminals. This country is sunk so far down the fucking liberal rabbit hole, it's pathetic. And it needs to climb out fast, or there's going to be no United States. Because they're coming hard for Trump, and they're going to come even harder. Now, I'm telling you, coming next, they're going to try to impeach this man on anything that they can. And you cannot count on, everybody goes, well, we own, the Republicans own the House and the Senate. You can't count on these Republican senators and congressmen. I'm telling you now, a lot of them are shady as fuck. A lot of them are crooked as fuck. All of them tied into this very big, elite, globalistic machine, and they're against Donald Trump. This is like Kennedy all over again, but times 10. Yes, Eric, the UN. All of this is tied to the UN, Soros, the power, the Rothschild. Everybody's behind this. Okay, when I mention David Brock and the Clintons and this, these are the smaller players that are behind these major billionaires and families that are behind them. And it's just very clear they want complete civil unrest in the United States. And they're already saying we're at civil war, and I agree with them. We are at civil war amongst each other, and well as amongst this corrupt machine. We were at war against this leftist, globalistic, elite machine. And, I have to give it to, a lot of truthers for years, including myself, have been telling people, get ready. They are pushing this agenda underneath everything else. In other words, they're keeping America distracted while they're gutting us. And Obama did the final, Hillary was ready to do the final gut, and because Obama brought us to that point. Hillary didn't get in, but you know what? They're still doing it as we speak. Doesn't matter if Donald Trump's in the White House or not. That's what I tried to explain to people. They were not going to stop. And Trump couldn't stop them. I'm telling you, Trump can't stop them unless things change. And they need to change fast, and he needs to stand up to them, and we need to help him stand up to them. Fact. It's a fact. No, Diane, they cannot be arrested for treason unless you can prove that these federal judges had some ex parte communication with outside sources to come up with to deliberately, wantingly, and willfully come up with these decisions against Trump. Which I think if you keep it digging deeper and deeper with the federal judge, the district judge in Washington State, they're already people were finding things, a lot of people are finding things out about, his ties to immigrants, other things that he's leftist, very serious stuff. I mean, if you could prove, if somebody could get a hold of information or a whistleblower to come out and say, you know what, I know that this judge talked to so-and-so before this or that, then you have a case. But, otherwise there's no case to be made. Trump needs to rescind, I'm going to say it before I sign off, Trump needs to rescind this order ASAP. Immediately rescinded President Trump, and then, with a good team of lawyers, I would create several executive orders having to do with the same immigration ban, and make them so crystal clear There can be no argument. If they want to try to argue in court, they will lose. Because I will tell you all this. If Gorsuch gets in, which they're going to, just so you all know, Trump's going to have to go nuclear with him, and I don't think he's the right choice. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not think that man is the right choice. I think he did say what he said about Trump. I think that they're correct about that, and I think he sold him out to a Democratic senator. Okay? And I think somebody told him to pick him and suggested he pick him, and he made up his mind, and in fact, it could have been an entire plan. I'm not trying to be conspiratorial, but it could be, because listening to this judge not say that, Gorsuch should have said to a Democratic senator or to anyone, said, listen, the president has the legal right to carry out this executive order, and because he does. That's the law, just like the Massachusetts judge said. So you have a lot going on here. Nobody knows who to trust in this situation up there. The White House is stressed. It's being hit from all sides. As I said, this is what they're going to do every fucking day. Yes, Mike. I'll take a few questions, and then I'm out with this show. I'm going to be going into another show on MFA TV with a haters update, because there's something I need to say and do. It will stream onto Facebook, and then it will be deleted thereafter. Okay? It'll stay on live stream. So stay tuned. Yeah, Diddy, I hear you right there. I'm tired of seeing that too. I'm very tired. Listen, I believe in prayer and I believe in God, but you know what? God's not going to fix this. People need to fix this. In other words, God acts through others. God helps those who help themselves. It's a fact. I don't know what this Lita person is saying, lagging. I'm watching myself on Facebook. Where am I lagging?
It's your internet.
Am I lagging, everybody? I'm watching myself on Facebook.
No, it's their internet.
Yeah, they could see me. Live stream is easy. MFA TV on live stream. You're watching me. I'm streaming on live stream right now and streaming into the back of Facebook. You're going to start to see me stream live onto YouTube and Periscope. It's already set up for that. Facebook has just not allowed the integration because it's a fucking hungry, grubbing. So some of my shows are going to be streamed onto YouTube and Periscope at the same time. And then I will do the one slot streamed onto Facebook. And then share them thereafter. Darlene, there's several other justices. Yes, Lisa, we are setting up a special fund tonight for the march because we're going to have volunteers do sub-funds for that, and I want volunteers to help us run that fund. It will be a separate fund set up for our new march. The event is up in Facebook, and I'm almost done with my people on the website. And then that's how people will know when you go to the website. On the banners is the website addresses. There's a 1-800 number already set up, and there you can go to info at mfaofficial.com for our April 22nd march. I just spoke to the officers today in Washington. We've even gotten an additional permit outside Zone 1 in the Capitol, which is the larger area, for it to fall over, for X people to fall over, and even sidewalk permits in that entire area of the Capitol. It's the major part of the Capitol. And from there we have parade permit for the national parks to go from there all the way to the White House. So John Carter, hate troller, whatever.
Who cares?
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yep, I'm a great loser. Thank you. Big plus for you, my man. I bet you're, a Cheerio eating, Pop Rocks snorting, Xbox playing, welfare child. Douchebag. How's that? Pow. Yes, I will be getting into that in the next show. Into the next show. Don't worry about these people, okay? I have a lot of good news in the next show. So, yes, Tina, exactly. They're not even copycats with their 200 likes on their page, you know? Whatever. I don't want to discuss them right now, and I'm not going to discuss them in any of our main news feeds. I'll take a couple questions, and then you'll see me show back up on Facebook Live feed, but I'm going to be from MFA TV in another event in about 15 minutes after here. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Any marches this month? No, not that I know of. March is coming. There's a March 24th march with another group. Ours is April 22nd across this country, DC and across this country. We need to push this, share this, put it out there viral. We're raising funds. We're going to be boosting this. This time, I want to throw thousands into marketing this march and get it out to everybody with the beautiful webpage we have, the informative one, and get it out there. And it's all red and white and blue themed. It's not just a march for Trump. Millions unite for Trump and Pence, it's called, and ladies unite. They don't speak for me, okay, against this women's march. And the women's march is still using that same title, and they're growing by the day. They're growing by the thousands a day. No, Kenneth. Right now, yes, some people, you could get out there now. This needs to be massive, not small marches. This needs to be massive. That's why we want to take the time to do this. Let them keep blowing their wind. Let them keep doing what they're doing. And then we need to show them on April 22nd, not just in this country and others that stand with us in other countries, that we are the real voice of America. We are the voice of America. Trump is our president. We're not, and the women are not, the women are ladies. They're not, women running around in vagina, costumes and, signs on them that, that say, I spread my legs for refugees, and that we're not wanting Sharia law in this country, and that we will protect Christianity and Judaism in this country, as well as stand up for our rights. That's what we need in this country. I know, Kenneth, I'm fed up with you, but we need to put that energy into building this massive movement against these people like they're building. Yes, Jay Seklo, Carolyn, you're very right. Jay Seklo is right on board with what I'm saying. Jay Seklo is top. No, I am not working with March Make America Great Again on the 25th. I'll help promote them, but we are a non-for-profit just pending our 501(c). I cannot just tie a non-for-profit to anybody's march and have our name inside of that. Because it could legally affect, non-for-profits are strict guidelines. So we just can't slap our name on another march. Our marches, are permitted. We have our name on them. This is the way it is, and that. And it's nothing against Make America Great Again. I'll be happy to mention them in our videos. I'll be happy to help push that march, anything to make this country better again, and help Donald Trump and get that out there. So, they've reached out to me, some of them, and I'd be happy to do that. I don't have a problem with that. Lita, there's something wrong with your internet. Yes, Tina. I just cross promote. We can all cross promote others, but our march, I really want everybody to be part of that and get all these groups and make this massive. Make this massive, and that's why the website's a little bit longer, because it's a very simple site, but it's going to be very easy for people to create a march in their area, fill in your name, what do you want, you want to have a march in your area, the funds will be there, people can help raise funds for all this. We want to get buses, we want volunteers in states to get buses together. We'll raise the money to get chartered buses together to bring them into Washington, and or if they need buses for their state, to bring or rent even, like I said, not just charter buses, school, but people, how we can get people enjoying together, as well as carpooling, as well as train, everything to get people not just to DC, but their own marches in their own state. Okay, so we're trying to do this so that people can get involved, because I'm going to tell you something. The Women's March, people went on their own. Okay, we're going to try to help people as much as possible, raise as much money, just so you know, to get a stage, the equipment we need, the speaker equipment we need for speakers and everything, not just at the Capitol, but we can have a permit at the White House as well. It's thousands and thousands of dollars to rent it. Okay, rent it. And people can contact the rental companies in Washington and see what I'm talking about. So there's, you know. Who is this leader person? This leader person needs to go. My thoughts on the woman deported from Arizona today. She should be packing her shit, and she should have now 2 years ago. That's what I say. And you know what? Them creating a protest over that? Okay, lady, you're done. You're finished. You should have been out of here 2 years ago. You know, the mom should be deported from Arizona, and this is what people need to stand up for. We need to drain the ocean. Forget the swamp in Washington. That's just a part of it. The whole ocean in the United States needs to be drained. These immigrants, the illegals, need to go. The United States needs to focus on itself. It needs to build better infrastructures, create jobs in this country, bring back industry to this country. Just start to look at your inner cities in this country. Chicago's a war zone. Detroit, the home of the, you know, and it used to be that of the biggest, one of the biggest manufacturing capitals in the country, destroyed. Okay, you got more companies moving out of this country and decreasing jobs. You now have the top Google, Microsoft suing the president over his Muslim ban too. His immigration ban that they're calling a Muslim ban too, because they don't want to hire, you know, more expensive labor in the United States. Guess what? He takes this order and signs, you know, it repeals it. If he repeals this executive order, all the money they just spent on lawsuits and to file them all, boop. Understand this. Everything that they did, all the time, all the money, all these things that everybody put into, all he needs to do is repeal this order, and they just wasted all their money and time for nothing. Because the order is mute and he starts over. Very simple. And it's a win for Trump. A massive win for Trump and a big loss for them. Sue, we need Chicago for a chapter. Yeah, she had a stolen ass card for sure. Just so you all know, I'll get into that in the next video. So anybody watching this, I'm going to be live. Give me 15 minutes from here. I'm going to be live. I'll pop back up in here. Not on this show. Okay, this one will stay on Facebook. But I'll be popping up above this in another feed, live streaming from MFA TV, on a different event from our MFA TV. If you have not signed up, it's free. It's easy. Because you're going to be seeing many more broadcasts from there, because we're now in the highest tier, which our videos will start going out to 50 to 100,000 people at a regular time. You're going to be seeing guests. You're going to be seeing call-ins. You're going to be seeing green screen effects. You're going to be seeing all kinds of good stuff. Okay, we're ramping this all up, and that's where we're raising our donations up. We're raising and selling more stuff to do this, along with our new website that's coming out and the above. And we want to open chapters everywhere across this country for people to be a part of this. Yes, you know, I'm going to say that, you know, a lot of immigrants from Mexico, legal immigrants from Mexico, Cuba, as somebody just mentioned on here, they respect even Donald Trump's immigration ban. And these people respect this. The left made this into what it is, this religious madness about a Muslim ban when it's not, and it was plotted. It was plotted, and they've had these meetings. Nancy Pelosi, Pocahontas, George Soros all met privately, just so you all know. Before Trump's inauguration on how to destroy Trump, David Brock met with Soros and all these others, major players, and a lot of Democrats, okay, and Democratic senators, congressmen, to how to destroy Donald Trump. This is not some, you know, coincidence. This is not some major. This is a major plot to destroy Donald Trump and his presidency. At the same time, they're destroying America. And when they don't put the security of America first, all Americans better wake up. All Americans better wake up when your own party is putting the security of this country last. Because you may not think so, but there's a lot of dangerous, ugly people out there in a lot of countries that hate us. Okay? End of story. Good night, and God bless. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, there's only 3 days left. Go to shopmfa.org. Everything's 25% off. Very cool stuff in there. We're updating all of our stuff to our spring and summer lines, and I have even some serious special offers coming out as well. Okay? Thank you all again for all of your dedication to MFA. Thank you to our volunteers. Thank you to everyone who shares and likes and spreads the word, not just on our videos, but our news posts. I can't thank you enough. All of our volunteers can't thank you enough. I'm going to be going into some serious stuff in the next video. It's going to be a short one, but it's going to be very direct and to the point about some things, and I will not mention it in this video. I will mention it in the other one, and I'll explain why in the other video. Okay? Thank you, guys. 3 days, there's 25% off everything in our store because we're cleaning a lot of this specialty Trump stuff out of there from the inauguration. Trump 45 specialty stuff to make room. We're putting in a whole new line of items into our shop, and our shop is now going to be officially connected to our website. The same address, shopmfa.org, but it will be linked to that. Trump needs to reissue, and I'll say it before I leave for anybody new. The bottom line is this. Trump can screw all these people and win by rescinding his executive order. In other words, pulling it away. He takes it away. Everything's moot. All these court cases go away. They're fucked. They spent all this money and time and they thought they won. They get nothing. It becomes worthless. Then he reissues new executive orders, and I would do it in multiple orders, and make it very crystal clear, using the Ninth Circuit's decision to backfire against them so they can't use it as a further argument, because if it goes to the Supreme Court, any of this does, the Supreme Court's going to ultimately, okay, even with split, whatever, ultimately it's going to turn around and say that the president, because if you look at the history of the Supreme Court, no matter who's been in there, they usually refer national security matters and immigration to the executive branch, not the Supreme Court. Good night. God bless. Trump needs to reissue, and I'll say it before I leave for anybody new. The bottom line is this. Trump can screw all these people and win by rescinding his executive order. In other words, pulling it away. He takes it away. Everything's moot. All these court cases go away. They're fucked. They spent all this money and time and they thought they won. They get nothing. It becomes worthless. Then he reissues new executive orders, and I would do it in multiple orders, and make it very crystal clear, using the Ninth Circuit's decision to backfire against them so they can't use it as a further argument, because if it goes to the Supreme Court, any of this does, the Supreme Court's going to ultimately, okay, even with split, whatever, ultimately it's going to turn around and say that the president, because if you look at the history of the Supreme Court, no matter who's been in there, they usually refer national security matters and immigration to the executive branch, not the Supreme Court. Good night. God bless.